So, fellas, are you there? Are you alive? Hey, Krishna, what's up? So, welcome, Benjamin, Krishna, Francisca, Aisha, Camila, and hold on. Hay un nombrecito que no lo veo. Martín. Welcome, Martín. So, this is a new session, new class. And last class we were studying about in this case short stories and some in this case characteristics of short stories and how we should start writing in this case a short story. We're gonna continue dealing with short stories, you know, how to in this case deal with them, how to engage in the creative process, you know, and stuff like that, right? But right now, I'd like to start with the metalinguistic contents. And you can ask me any question you want, okay? No problem. About short stories, about you know, the metalinguistic content, etc. Right? So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, we got new people. Renata, welcome. Maxi, welcome. Who else? Nayareth, welcome to the class. All right, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. And as I told you, we're gonna start checking out the metalinguistic contents, and then at the end of the class, we can leave some time to deal with short stories, right? And if you want to check out the previous lessons, you know, just they're already recorded on YouTube and also on UCampus. You know, you can go to the, in this case, to the records. So this unit, we need to study about present perfect continuous, you know, the application of those structures, models for probability, passive voice, moving prepositions, articles, and collective nouns. And regarding the lexical contents, we should deal with jobs and work conditions, law and order, and politics and bureaucracy, right? And here we go. First of all, we're going to deal a little bit with jobs and work conditions. You know that in general in our country, the jobs and work conditions are not really good. Last night, actually, I was watching the news about this issue, and 50% of the workers in our country, they earn pretty much like for around 400,000 pesos, 420,000 pesos, which is not really good. I mean, we normally claim that we are pretty much like the the best country in Latin America, but that's not really true. I mean, it depends on the comparison. Like if you want to compare a country to a really beaten country in Latin America, like, I don't know, Cuba or Bolivia, they've been really beaten because of many different reasons. And but if we compare with other industrialized and more developed countries, we are really under the average. Okay, 420,000 pesos. Who lives with 420,000 pesos? It's a joke, actually. And Chile is one of the most expensive countries in Latin America, right? I know that maybe in comparison to other countries like Venezuela or I already mentioned Bolivia, etc., we pay a little more money and we got more jobs, but it doesn't mean that we are pretty much like the Eden or the promised land. Like we're not actually. We know that. So in this case, I'd like to ask one of you guys, if you are available, to read the first section here. It says the definition of good work. Okay. And so if there are no volunteers, I'd like to ask one of you guys to read this section on good work. And I don't see any hands raised. So I'm going to choose one. Benjamin, are you there? Can you hear me, Benjamin?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm not at home, so maybe you could hear some background noise.
Oh,
But
that's okay.
I will read anyway. So,
Oh, thank you.
good work. Having a job is good for our health, but the quality of our jobs makes the difference. Ensuring people have a safe, encouraging, and supportive working environment will help keep them well and in work for longer. This is something that all employers can or should take steps to achieve.
Thanks a lot, man. That was really good reading. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Nice, very nice. Right. So basically, this definition by Duncan Selby in this case, which is a British guy, in the public health area. I think he nailed it. It's good work is not only having a job and making some money, to survive. It's much more than that. You know, we spend a lot of hours, many hours of our lives working. Okay, and pretty much working for surviving. It's not like I work because of it's not only I work because I like it. It's not only I work because this is a hobby. This is something that I really love to do. It's not like that. I mean, that's not the reality. It's pretty much I need money to pay the bills and to not starve, basically, and and so to have a roof over my head, for example. That's pretty much the purpose of making some money. Doing whatever I can. But good work is much more than that. Um, Good for our health, for example. If we got a good job, it's good for our health, for our mental health. Um, and also, but it depends on the quality of the jobs. Like how many hours we work, the stress that we experience when we are doing a job. Mm? Like as I told you, as having some job or work in this case, in which the conditions are favorable, is good for our health, right? But if we overwork, of course, that's gonna kill us. Absolutely, it's not gonna be good. I mean, for our mental health. Then ensuring people have a safe, encouraging, and supportive working environment. That's the key. I mean, the money is okay. Of course, the money is important, really important. But also having a safe, encouraging, and supportive working environment is key. All right. So many people maybe make a lot of money in a job, 2 million, 3 million pesos, but they are so under stress that they just end quitting, right? Because I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth it making so much money, but not having a real life, like time for your family, time for your friends, time for yourself, and so on. It says this will keep them well and in work for longer. That's true. I mean, if you got a good job and you and in good conditions in this case, you can last in that place. This is something that all employers can and should take steps to achieve. Absolutely. But we know that maybe in our country, many employers, they just don't give a damn. They just want to make money, and they consider like the workforce as expendable, that we are replaceable. Mm? That's pretty much the case, which is really sad, actually. That's why in so many jobs there are, in this case, high rates of rotation. They cannot keep the new workers, because new workers normally they're looking for quality of life, especially young generations, generations like you, like millennials, like uh, people in general are no longer in need of just money. Like uh, new generations are looking for the quality of life, the place in which they can grow, they feel good. The money could be important, but uh, the point is to have to achieve happiness, doing something that maybe you like, but at the same time having some spare time to enjoy life. That's pretty much the key. In the past, the rule was, work hard, not necessarily play hard, but work hard and get a house, get married, have a couple of children, and buy a car, and that's it, and go on vacations once in a while. But that's not the rule now. That's not the motto. It's quite different. So society has changed in that case. So for work to support a healthy life, it should, in this case, there are four conditions: pay fairly and offer lasting security. That's absolutely key. And if we start with pay fairly, as I told you, in our country in general, for most people, this is not happening. This is not happening. Pay fairly is pretty much paying somebody to be able to pay the bills and to live with dignity. And that's not really happening, in my personal opinion, of course. And offer lasting security, like stability. I mean, that's sometimes people have to choose between lasting security and pay fairly, and that's not right. We should have both. But many times, like, okay, this is in this case, um, let's say stable job, steady job in general, but the pay is not really good, but at least is for sure. You can last in that company for 10, 20 years, etc. But the pay is not be really good. And sometimes you get some other jobs in which the pay is high, but there is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty. You never know when you're going to get fired and stuff like that, because somebody else is going to do your job for less money, and so on. So there's always, this capitalist way to see, uh, the jobs in general. Second condition: ensure good working conditions. That's another thing that we do not normally see in our country. Maybe there are some companies which are, in this case, worried about ensuring good conditions because of the law. If there are no laws about that, forget about working conditions. I mean, uh, obtaining working conditions and fair pay and security has cost lives. Not only parades and riots and protests in the streets. It has cost lives, and if we start to analyze the historical movements around the world, like the social movements around the issue of work, we're going to see a lot of, the count is really high in terms of lives, human lives, right? um, and all the working conditions that we got now, it's because of people marching in streets. What else? Regarding, in this case, good work-life balance. This is a sort of a new concept too. I mean, and and also it's not happening. It's not happening right now. Uh, give me a second, guys. Give me just one little second. Yeah, ahora sí. So enable a good work-life balance. What one really interesting project is the one that says that, for example, productivity is not necessarily attached to the number of hours that we work. Productivity is more related to training, the quality of the process. When in the companies, how we use wisely our time in this case, how a company might organize the tasks in order to become more efficient and productive. So my personal case, I believe that we can work 4 days a week, uh, and we can do a nice and very really significant and meaningful work in fewer time. Of course, the point is that doing, like, working hard in 4 days, doing the whole job of a week, it might be in this case kind of threatening for some people, because it's like if you get work at 9 a.m. and you should finish at I don't know, 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., but you're gonna work 4 days. I mean, it's really nonstop in our reality in Chile. It's really working nonstop. Maybe having 1 hour to have lunch, and then it's working really hard for 10 hours and 4 days. That's going to be a reality in our country. Maybe, and that's not going to happen in the malls. There are many jobs in which they work not 24/7, because that's for the factories. They actually work 24/7. But in the malls, you work on weekends, and in some other jobs like offices, normally from Monday to Fridays. This is office schedule, but working 4 hours. I mean, sorry, 4 days a week. That's only for the for the office. This is not going to happen in the factories or in the mall. But I think it's achievable for the companies, like for the office schedule. I think it's achievable. It's something that people can in this case obtain someday. But not for every field, no para todos los rubros, not for every work field. But the point is work-life balance, is trying to balance the number of hours that you spend at work with the spare time, and also having the time and the money to go on holidays, to play hard, to enjoy life, having enough money to travel. And again, that's not happening. It only happens in some jobs in which the conditions are like extraordinary in our country, and in some other countries is normal, like in Europe or Canada, for example, having a good work-life balance, but not in our country, not even in the US. In the US, you get more than 10 million homeless. There are extraordinary companies, but not all of them work in that way. And in Oceania, of course, New Zealand, Australia, there are always, excellent companies over there. Provide training and opportunities to progress. I mean, this is like absolutely essential for any job, but in many, many companies, that's pretty much impossible. You know, there are in many companies in our country, for example, providing training is like zero, nothing equals zero, and opportunities to progress like peacefully is just, I mean, if you don't have contacts, if you don't have a last name, like kind of a foreign last name, or if you haven't studied in certain school or university, if you are not dating uh, the CEO's child, forget about opportunities to progress. It's like uh, many people has to many people have to sell their dignity to obtain opportunities to progress, and that's not fair. It's not okay. It's not the rule. um so um well, there are some comments, like in this case below the pictures, regarding some specific, in this case, explaining the figures, explaining the numbers and stuff like that. um I'd like to hear some of you guys, in this case, regarding this issue. Maybe you want to type your opinion about this, about, for example, working conditions in Chile. um Maybe you have, some of you are working or have worked. Maybe you'd like to share some experience in the chat room regarding working conditions in our country. um I remember that before becoming a teacher, I worked in Pizza Hut, I worked in supermarkets, I worked in a couple of companies, as a cashier and stuff like that when I was a student, actually. And really, it's not a place in which, I mean, I never um, picture myself staying in those jobs, and I couldn't understand why some people stay there. And of course, I know that many people just didn't have the chance or the opportunities that we could have had, but for some people it was more important to have money immediately, to pay the bills and stuff like that. So I don't judge them, but I never picture myself working forever in a place in which um, they were exploited. In my personal opinion, they were exploited. Camila, my mother recently resigned from her work because the environment was very hostile. Absolutely. And she had to work overtime till 2 a.m. when she should work from 9 to 6 p.m. Look at that. Thank you, Camila, for sharing that thing. Look at this injustice. I mean, it happens. The contract says, for example, 9 to 6 p.m. In Chile we got it's the saying, tenemos el dicho que dice el papel aguantar, and it's true. Like, oh, my contract says 9 to 6 p.m., but in reality, actually, you have to stay until 2 a.m. It's crazy. It's insane. It's totally unfair, and it happens a lot. It's like it's the rule, actually, in many places. You have to stay, because otherwise you lose your job. And normally the CEOs and the managers, they know they can exploit people because they depend on the work. Some people are even, in this case, they have to trade things which are, like, I don't know, the many women are harassed in their jobs, like the bosses, threatening them that they would lose their jobs if they don't provide some favors. I think it's absolutely uh, It's disgusting. It's horrible. It's um, it's unconceivable in my personal opinion, right? So all of those things are happening right now. So that's why it is so important to understand the issue, and at the same time to fight to change, in this case, in at any cost, what's going on in our country. So um, what else? Changing, well, not changing topics is pretty much like expanding the vocabulary in this case. We got some, in this case, vocabulary like application, background, bonus, employee, trainee, hire, interview, make redundant, notice, overtime. Um, Maybe you know some of these words regarding, in this case, jobs and work conditions. The application is basically, the piece of document, the piece of, in this case, paper in which you um, uh, fill in with your, in this case, qualifications, personal information, etc., which is not the same as a curriculum or a resume. A resume, it's in curriculum, resume or curriculum vitae, but the letter of application is a little different. You attach it to the curriculum, or simply applications which are online, and then you just fill in with the information, right? The background in this case is pretty much like the person's education, qualifications, work experience. That's the background, like la información, digamos, el historial. That's the background. A bonus, extra money, employee is pretty much like people who work in a company. Trainee is somebody who's being trained, maybe to get the category of employee, right? Hire is to employ somebody, como contratar. Interview, in this case, the oral examination. Make redundant, in this case, is dismiss. Oh, make redundant in this case is like when you are desvinculado, for example, or what happened in the pandemic, like many people was made redundant because of the pandemic, like companies, they said, you know what, you are in the list, you are in the payroll, but we're not going to pay you. And we'll call you if, because they were made redundant, right? And anyway, notice, advanced warning of intention to resign. In this case, you give the notice. I mean, you can obtain a notice or you can give a notice. It depends on if you want to resign, or if you're gonna be fired. And over time is work more than the number of hours. Yeah, and sometimes with no pay at all, or sometimes you're paid, but you cannot be pushed to do it. You cannot be forced, unless it's in your contract. But that's a different thing, artículo 22. All right, and also we got expressions and phrases to use at work. Give me a second. I need to do something and I'll be back. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I am back. Good. I'd like somebody in the class to help me with the reading a little bit. I'd like somebody to read the expressions and phrases to use at work, like crunch the numbers, and to read. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 first definitions in this case, crunch the numbers, put something off, take off, and people person. Maybe Francisca Perez. Are you there, Francisca? Hello, Francisca. Not there. What about Krishna? Are you there, Krishna? ¿Sí me escuchan o no?
Aquí estoy, profe.
Ah, vale, vale. Can
¿Me
you
escucha
help
bien?
me? Sí, se escucha súper. ¿Tú puedes ver bien en la presentación aquí o no?
Sí.
Ya. ¿Me podrías ayudar leyendo las 4 primeras definiciones de esta sección?
Okay.
Thank you.
Crunch the numbers, do a lot of calculations, take off, increase or become popular very quickly. People person who has great social skills and love interacting with people and put something off, you delay doing it.
Thanks a lot, Krishna. Thanks a lot. So you can see some vocabulary in this case, like more colloquial language about, the working environment. Crunch numbers normally when you work in some office and you work in the administrative area or in the financial area. When you put the job off, put the meeting off, it's like you just don't do it the same day. You do it another day. In this case, it's when a company starts to make more money. In this case, so it becomes very popular. So that's the takeoff in this case, como la empresa despegó. It happens in education when the enrollments go up, como las matrículas. When the enrollments go up, it's pretty much like a takeoff of for a university, a school, academy, whatever. People person, there's always somebody at work which is very social, which is very nice. And then we got more people like the eager beaver in this case, somebody who really likes the job and works really hard, and so on. It's not necessarily somebody who's like disgusting. It might be somebody who really likes to work. That's the eager beaver, unless this person is kind of like in this case somebody who's always like putting his nose brown, like in this case, alguien que siempre la espinita, ¿cierto? La espinita en la pega, together with the boss. Right. What else? Hold the fort in this case. I'd like somebody else to read in this case. Maybe tenemos a Aisha. Aisha, are you there? ¿Está bien dicho Aisha o no?
Hi,
Hey,
is Aixa.
Aixa. Ok, sorry. Aixa, ¿tú nos podrías ayudar con la lectura desde aquí de Hold the Fort hasta abajo?
Okay.
Thanks.
Hold the fort. Have the responsibility for something or care of somebody while other people are away. Golden handshake. A large sum of money that is given to somebody when they leave their job or persuade them to leave their job. Walking paper. Letter or notice dismissing somebody from a job. Cash cow. The part of a business that always makes a profit and that provides money for the rest of the business. Have a lot on your plate. You have a lot of work and responsibilities at the moment.
Thanks a lot, Aixa. Thank you very much. Good reading, good reading. That's okay, Benjamin. No problem. Have a good day, man. Take care. Right. So thank you, Aixa, and also que estoy mal de la Krishna. Eso. Thank you, Krishna. For example, hold the fort. Normally, when people go on vacations, we take or we assume like their part in the company, in the school, in any place, you know, in an organization, while they are enjoying life. We have, in this case, double work. Golden shake, in this case, you know, this happened, for example, when somebody wants to retire, or simply when somebody has to go, but they go with some money. It's like, you know what, we need to fire you, but you're, in this case, we want you to compensate, in this case, your loss, because normally this person knows a lot of information, knows sensible information, or simply is like, no me gusta decir esto, but it's como too old, and so the company wants to fire this person, but in a nice way. So they give them the golden handshake, in this case, like some money, a lot of money, many times, so that they go home and enjoy life, and they hire new people, like younger people, normally. So that's pretty much the golden handshake. It happens, for example, with the professors at the university. You know, I remember when I started teaching at Pedagógico, I was sharing with a professor who has taught me when I studied at Pedagógico. You know, I remember it was called the Miss Agüerito. She was called like that. She was like 90 years old, something like that. I don't know, but she was really, really, really experienced. And I don't really know. I don't really remember if she remembered me. You know, it's like, hello, Miss Agüero, how are you? It's like, oh, long time no see. Yeah, I'm teaching here. It's like, really? Congratulations. And she has taught like countless generations of teachers at UMSE. So when she retired, I took actually her place. You know, I assumed her in this case, her classes, and she has worked, as I told you, at Belgium, like, I don't know, 40 years, maybe more, I don't know, but she received the golden handshake. Walking paper, in this case, letter of no or notice dismissing somebody from a job. Letter or notice dismissing, yeah, the walking paper, in this case. In Chile, it's like el sobre azul. Cash cow, in this case, the part of a business that always makes a profit. In this case, it's pretty much in Spanish, is like el caballito de batalla. You know, it's like, you know, different concepts. We can't translate literally, you know. El caballito de batalla. In this case, in English, is the cash cow. You know, it's the product or the service that provides the most money for a company. And have a lot of on your plate, is have a lot of work and responsibilities. You know, it's like esto ya está la tusa. You know, have a lot on your plate, a lot of paperwork or whatever. I felt that way last semester. I had a lot on my plate all day. All right. What time is it? I think time is up. Yeah, 9:31. Tomorrow we're gonna be dealing with the grammar. Present perfect continuous. Any question that you may have regarding the contents, regarding I know that there are some people who are gonna be who are becoming, you know, part of the class because of in this case, es el tema de la carga académica, porque cuando yo vi que hay 11 members in the class, yo dije al tiro, va a empezar a llegar más gente, lo cual está súper bien, ya, pero también es porque a veces los horarios no cuadran. Ustedes saben que el tema de la carga académica es un desastre, en todos lados, no es aquí solamente en el PEA, en todos lados está el desastre con las cargas académicas, ¿ya? Así que welcome the new people, y yo voy a estar publicando los links, digamos, por un buen tiempo en la comunidad de inglés. Así que si conocen a algún compañero que necesite la clase de DELI y puede hacerlo hasta ahora, tráiganlo para acá nomás, no problem. Aquí hay espacio para todos. ¿Ya? Have a great day. See you tomorrow. And enjoy life. Work hard, play hard. Ciao. See ya. Sayonara des.